You know how Dolly got her start really was on TV also with being on the Porter Wagoner show.
Yeah, break down the Porter Wagoner history.
So
who is Porter Wagoner?
Porter Wagoner.
That's a cool ass name.
Porter
Wagoner.
Porter Wagoner.
A hard ER.
He had, oh God, where do I start? Best way to say Porter Wagoner was known as like the country man of television. He was like the first breakthrough. He was the Porter Wagoner show. Porter Wagoner show on TV.
Oh, okay.
So
mind you, television was huge. We're talking what, 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like a breakthrough period with television. Is like you're seeing like the civil rights movement break out. You're seeing like the hippies on TV now. Television is like the new Twitter.
Right, totally.
Right.
And everybody was eating up. It was like the first household country music show other than radio. Because, of course, radio, if you loved radio, then you loved...
And was this tied into the Grand Ole Opry at all, or no?
Yes, it's all the same family.
Okay.
So Porter Wagoner show was him as the lead, and then his band, which was the Wagon Masters. I don't sound stupid.
Yeah.
Porter Wagoner anyway. And then their whole beginning was that he was replacing Norma Jean. Norma Jean was like the woman who was on the show with him.
How long she had been on there for a while?
Norma Jean had been on there a while. Norma Jean was a great singer, but he needed to replace her. She was getting married. She was moving away or whatever.
But they had gained a following, and the crowd loved Norma Jean.
They loved Norma Jean, but they really loved Porter, and Porter was the fucking granddaddy of whatever. And so he picked out Dolly as she had been writing songs, submitting stuff, trying to get picked up by anybody. And he gave her the impression that she was going to come in and write songs for the show or something. So she brought her guitar. And then...
you were talking, she's probably 18, I think, right? 17, 18?
Yeah.
Young.
Fresh on the streets. And just getting here, too. She'd only been here a little while when she got on that show. And... she was mostly known for singing harmonies and stuff with people. That's how she kind of got her start around here, and which I love singing harmonies. That's a great way to build connection with people is when you can sing with people. So she got on the show with him, singing with him on the show, and she was writing shows with him. And then they had this whole dynamic, which was really at the time appealing to the audience of like the 60s and American families and how couples and marriages weren't always necessarily working, and
which was not something you talked about back then.
Right.
It's supposed to be the perfect American family, picket fence, and
it was incredible that she was, as a woman, able to step onto this man's show and write the songs that they were singing and create this narrative that was really representative of themselves and their relationship that they were building with each other, but then also they could really like appeal to the crowd.
Right.
And
even just a woman back then having an opinion was like in this day, you don't even think about that.
Yeah.
But like even back then, for you to come on and not talk about, hey, you cook, you clean, and you take care of your husband. You don't have a view on life. You don't get to talk about, like, you know what I mean? So even that was, it was refreshing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that she had this point of view, she's keeping it real, being vulnerable, and then sharing that on the show. So anyway, so she's on the show now.
She is on the show writing these songs, singing her own songs, and she kind of got pushed in that direction of writing for the audience and writing for the show and writing for her relationship with Porter, whereas a lot of her own music that she's writing is very much about Tennessee and being small town and her feelings and herself and her experience with the world. So it was a like different element to her when she was on this show. But he then kind of became this figure over her and controlled a little bit of everything she was able to do.
That's a good or bad thing?
I don't know. I think she had to... It was good in the sense that it was a chapter she had to overcome because she built her career off of that, and she became a household name, and everybody fell in love with her for who she was and what she was able to do on the show. And then... How
many years was she on the show, you think?
7.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
she
it was
pretty
7.
much became a woman on that show then. If you're going from 18 to damn near, what?
With...
mid-20s, 25, 26?
In that kind of relationship where you're songwriting and performing with somebody, a man, that it's his show and it's his world. She did a great job.
For sure.
And then she actually wrote, she knew that the only way that she could get Porter to let her go was if she wrote it in a song. So
Genius.
that's when she
wrote.
wrote.
That's why you got to respect people like that who last a long time of just how they move and how they maneuver.
Right.
You know, because it's easy to get caught up in emotions and say, hey, I've done my job here. I've done this for 7 years. Probably didn't get paid. This is just an assumption. I have no idea. But you're a woman back in the 60s, 70s. I'm assuming the pay ain't right. And I'm assuming you've worked double as hard as a normal person or a man that's done this job. And you're thinking, can I just move? And she's still aware enough to say, no, I need to leave gracefully. Because I think I don't know if it's Maya Angelou. Somebody says it's not what you say to somebody, it's how you make them feel.
That's true.
So even if I say, hey, I'm about to leave, that you might feel weird about that, even if I have the right to leave. So I think that's just such a smooth way to maneuver by dropping a song in reverence to you, in love of you, that everybody knows is for you, so you feel good. I handle the male ego. You're taken care of. The male ego is now stroked, so you can calm your ass down. But also, I got a fucking hit.
Yeah.
This shit is fucking popping. It's a beautiful song, and it's one of the biggest songs she ever made.
Of all time, yeah.
It's one of the most brilliant moves in music history, if you ask me. I mean,
absolutely.
What a way to position yourself, and everybody's happy. So she's good at like everyone being happy, but it's still genuine without being fake. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and she didn't. I think the difference between those times and now with songwriting is like she wrote that because entirely upon the circumstance and her feelings in her life, and because she was so possessed by needing to write as like and needing to be a songwriter and a storyteller, whereas nowadays people write songs they think people want to hear and shit like that, and it's just like a completely different formula. But with Dolly is so true to herself that it's always really about her heart, and I think that's why people are so in love with her, because it's contagious. You fall in love with how honest and vulnerable she is. But that whole song, like, not only was it incredible for her in that time period and her relationship with Porter, and like you brought up, great point, like a respectful deuces. Yeah. I gotta go. You can't hold me down. You can't hold me back.
Yeah.
Cage bird don't sing. I gotta go.
Just such a brilliant, for so many, it's like a tree of brilliance with so many different branches of why it's so cool.
It's
you know
so
what I mean?
Great.
Like, it's cool because you've solidified him in history. You've solidified yourself, and then 20 years later, a young black girl named Whitney Houston does the song even more justice by blowing it out the water so well that people don't even know Dolly Parton even was the original.
Exactly.
Like, people just now find that out, like, oh, Dolly Parton? That was a cover? Because she went so crazy on that, which ironically was through another movie, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
I know that 9 to 5, Dolly Parton did that and they made that for the movie, but then she was in The Bodyguard, which is a classic. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. But I don't know, but I remember it was popping when it was out.
Yeah.
And she made that I Will Always Love You song and won a Grammy, which was presented by Dolly, which is a full circle moment. Dolly's like, have to pull the card, and the winner is Whitney Houston. And then to see her even pass I guess you could call it a baton, but it's a Grammy.
Yeah.
So Whitney Houston was dope, especially Whitney Houston in her prime. But that's a beautiful moment in just music history.